Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to another episode of Come Make We Talk. As always, if you're new around here, my name is Shanique and I make videos on personal development and personal growth. And sometimes, like today, is having a conversation with something else. And if you're not new around here, of course, wagwan, welcome back. You know me love when you come spend time with me. If you haven't yet subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting on. Like you already know, so you like the content. You already know, so you like when we are talk about. Subscribe, come on, join the community, and let's continue the conversation in the comment section. Let's continue the conversation, even amongst ourselves, at home. Speaking of home, today I get the opportunity to talk with a childhood friend, someone that I've known all my life, all of my life. Yeah. Ooh, okay. But the funny thing is, sometimes even when we know people for a long time, we forget that life happens to them. We forget that, or we don't even think about, how they may be experiencing challenges. And so today I get the chance to pull the curtain back a bit and talk to my friend, Nadia McKenzie. Nadia is the founder and CEO of the remote technology-based content powerhouse, the Scrutineer. And she founded this company because she wanted to change the way people thought and felt about content. So today we'll talk to her through her entrepreneurship journey and what is to come. Nadia, come make a talk. Come make a talk, girl. Come make a talk. All right. All right. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Come Make We Talk. And with me today is Nadia Willie. Nadia, thank you. Well, no, McKenzie. I'm sorry. Nadia McKenzie. When you've known somebody for 30 odd years, it's so hard to kind of make that leap over and be like, okay, that's no longer your name. Nadia McKenzie. Someone, like I said, that I've known all my life. But, we've kind of been cheering each other on the sidelines and crossing paths a little bit and then going back. And so now we're having the opportunity to really go a little bit deeper, because as much as you can know somebody for a long time, there's a lot that happens in their life behind the scenes that you never really get to talk about. So let's start now. Thank you so much for agreeing to hop on and chat with me. And let's get into it. All right, let's talk childhood. So we grew up in rural St. Catherine. And I mean, it was kind of fancy now looking back, like going to a prep school, getting schooled in American literature from an early age. But I'm curious, like, from your standpoint, what was that experience like? Like, we went to a school that was very close to this church. So it was I don't know what the word is for that arrangement. But your parents are very involved in the church.
Yes.
What was that like for you growing up? What were some of the things that you noticed that kind of improved or deterred you from doing certain things?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Shanique. I've been watching this channel. Guys, like, subscribe, and share. But we grew up in what I would call, and what my husband refers to as, like, suburban country.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it was good. Like, we were not in the hustle and bustle of the Mecca, but at the same time, we had a nice, like, a comfortable life. And all my friends and all my friends' friends were either churchgoers or, so we all had to be in the same circle and the same network, which was nice because you knew everybody and everybody was always so supportive. My best friend, I'm still my best friend today, and we grew up together from all that time. So, I mean, it was really good and it was healthy. It was a healthy environment. And my life was church, school. Pretty much. But looking back, what I really love.
Pressure, like with your parents so involved, with the community being so close and tight knit.
Oh yeah.
To like always be on the A game, always be like performing, always be like awesome.
Yeah, and these were the worst part or the best part. Now that I look back on it, almost all of them were educators, right? So you had
it's true
at every angle. Yes, always had some teacher or guidance counselor or principal like around you all the time. So there was this pressure to make sure that you perform. The standard was so high all the time. You appreciate it now because you were pushed to be the best at all times. I mean, you said you pronounce something wrong, somebody's there going, fix that. So I mean, no, I appreciate it. Back then, of course, as a child, it was very annoying.
Wow. So, I mean, outside looking in, I would say, like, very regularly, we ranked, like, who are the coolest parents at church? Okay, very regularly. And as someone who, I grew up in a single parent home, so my mom is always at work, or most times she's at work on a Sunday. So I'm hitching a ride home. Yeah. I'm like, all right, rock, paper, scissors. All right, who's going to take us home today? And almost always on the top of the list would have been Mr. and Mrs. Willie, because like, we're not going to be inundated with questions. Yeah. How is your Christian walk today? If you were to die today, are you ready to meet the Lord? I know you know what we're talking about. Oh, I know I have to call no names. But yeah.
I'm with you.
That would have been on the top of the list. So I mean, what was the environment like within the home?
Yeah.
Away when it was just you guys chilling. Yeah. What were some of the conversations that you would have? I'm curious to see how that would transfer over, because like Miss Willie is dope.
She is. She really is. And I mean, a lot of people don't know that she's my stepmom, and I really don't even call her my stepmom, because as far as I'm concerned, that's my mom. That's my mother from I met her. That's how she is. And she's still dope. She's still cool. I mean, she still comes to my house, takes over my kitchen, and like makes soup for the entire family. She does things like that on a regular, and she's just the sweetest. And she's always been like that. She's very sweet. And she tries not to pressure people.
At what age did you lose your biological mom?
I was 5 months when she died. 5 months old. Yeah. And then my dad remarried when I was 2. Yeah.
Did you find that at any point, like trying to, was that a struggle for you, trying to like hold space for your biological mom?
For sure. Yeah. I didn't really know her, right? So, but what I had was my brothers, and my brothers knew her well. And then of course, as a little sister, I'd idolized my brothers. So if they were giving my stepmother hell, then I was gonna give her hell, because we had to stick together, that kind of thing. So my poor mother kind of went through a little struggle with us, and we also went through a struggle, because then it's almost like your parents are part of your identity.
Mm-hmm.
So I was struggling to figure out this new person in my life, and that my mom is not in my life, and this new person is trying to fill that role. And what does that mean for me? And how does that mean I'm forgetting my mother? I didn't get to say goodbye. Like, I struggled with a lot of different things, and then I struggled by myself with my brothers knowing my mom, and my real mom. And I was just like, how come I never get to know her? Like, I didn't get a chance to really know her. So I struggled a little bit with that as well. But the good thing is I got a really good mom. God gave me a second mom that was really good. So when we were able to build that relationship, it was like I didn't lose anything, you know? So,
Oh.
yeah, she's a gem.
Okay, what were some of the things that like you guys would have done in like Mr. Willie stay hustling?
Oh, yeah.
To
Oh,
me,
all the time.
like always on a mission, always doing
Always.
something. So like even now as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
when you look back, what were some of the things that you may have been like subtly taking in
Yeah. Yeah.
that you would have just soaked up from being
Yeah.
in that environment?
Yeah. Like, there are two definite things that stand out with Daddy. One, all of us got the entrepreneurial spirit from him. My poor mother, no sort of entrepreneur. But Daddy was made to be like an entrepreneur from day one. And my siblings got it. I caught the bug later on, but I caught it and I realized how important it is to be that independent with your creativity, with your, you know, with what you're passionate about, you know, and owning that and creating that and molding and watching it grow. So I saw later on what he loved about this hustle, you know, and I'm very happy that he gave that to each of us, right? Because it gives us the flexibility and the freedom, you know, to kind of grow into that. And the second thing that I really captured that I didn't know I was capturing was his love for words, his love for reading, his love. I used to call him the walking dictionary because he would constantly be throwing words at us that we didn't know. And then he would have a smirk on his face, like, you don't even know what that means. Go look it up. You know?
It's called Duper's Delights. If ever like you can like if you're putting a prank on somebody or even when somebody's lying, like subconsciously the brain once it realizes that okay, I got one over on you, it triggers this smirk. And it's like you can't control it no matter what. That's how people knew that Bill Clinton was lying, because there's the Duper's Delight. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
No, I know what it's called, and that's exactly what it is, for sure.
It was very delighted. It's like, okay, you guys are going to have to use a dictionary.
Yes.
There's a very vivid memory that I have in my mind, like coming over to your house, and I remember you guys had an at-home office. I'd never seen that before. And one day, Miss Willie was in there typing, and she was just typing and looking at the screen, not looking down at the. And I'm like, "Oh, are you doing that?" Like, and to this day, like now, as someone who can type 100 and odd words per minute, and I can also not look at the screen. I was like, I earmarked that just by watching it. I'm like, that's a goal. I want to be able to do that. Like,
that's cool. That's cool.
In my mind, like, your family was like a benchmark of sorts, because it showed me that, okay, one, marriage doesn't have to be painful, right? Where you're like tolerating each other, and it's this, the silence is so deafening that it's awkward being anything else. And two, like, you can develop an environment, you can cultivate your own environment, like whether or not Mr. Willie was outside with his mango tree or something, or tinkering in the garage, or Miss Willie just doing her thing, like her Christmas cakes are off the chain.
Yes.
It was important for me to kind of see that, because I didn't have that present in my own life. And with my mom being friends with your dad, like, it gave that connection of like, oh, okay, all right, I can see that. I don't like that part. All right, maybe we can work. Okay, all right, cool. I only know that I'm married, I'm trying, and I'm seeing how hard marriage is. And raising a kid and creating a home that I can appreciate some of those things that I picked up as a child. So that was cool. Like, I've never shared that before, but
I mean, that's such an inspiration for me, because I didn't even know that was happening. And I mean, it is a big deal to be able to see it and to understand what healthy looks like. And they were big. They had a lot of issues. Clearly, like any marriage, they had issues, but they were big on family. They were really big on family. So daddy really tried to play Scrabble with us and take Jan outside to, like, you know,
Play
be out there with
tennis.
him, and we played table tennis, we played tennis. Like, we went to the country almost every weekend. We were at a new parish, and we were just, you know, so family time was a big deal. And I think it really helped to sort of set that foundation for us to see what it was supposed to look like. Yeah, for family. So I'm glad. I'm very, very glad. And I'll let her know. I'm sure she'll be happy to hear it. Yes. That it was an inspiration, because I know they really tried. They really tried to make sure that was something that we always saw. We never really saw them fight. And I know that they must have had, you know, fights, but we didn't really see a lot of that. They really tried to expose us and to just try and make sure that we're having fun as a family. So
and when I juxtapose that to even my own, like, my parents are married for 13 years.
Yeah.
But the marriage was an abusive. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, it's okay.
Jane is burning something downstairs.
Oh dear. You can't leave them in the kitchen, huh?
Wow. Okay.
Right.
What was I saying?
Yeah, your parents are married for 13 years.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So my parents were married for 13 years. And so, like, Alex and Renee, they have a different experience with them. I came in, like, right at the height of the abuse. I not knowing what to do. I would go to school and everybody talk about what they did over the weekend. And, oh, my mom got slapped in the face. Like, just casually, because I thought that was the thing. And then even after they separated and gotten divorced, like, we were very much, my household was very much based on, like, survivor mentality. Like, we just gotta survive. And so it was like, I can't even say that enough. It's a breath of fresh air. Like, whatever work they did on themselves individually to get to a point where they can be emotionally regulated in a marriage, to resolve conflict in such a way that it doesn't impede on family time. It doesn't impede on how you experience them. It doesn't impede on them being able to hear each other. Like, even if it's a situation where, like, at the end of the day, you know, future in the end of their separation, that is something that's noteworthy, because it takes a commitment to be to self first, to be wanting to unpack the things about you that aren't aligned, and acknowledge that and take responsibility to adjust that. And then marriage to me is always like a head-on accident. Like, you keep bumping. It doesn't matter how many times you feel like, okay, well, we solved this problem.
Yeah.
There's another one coming.
Right behind it.
Oh, yeah. That requires the lessons that you learned here to be applied. So it's hard.
100%.
So,
I think that's what people need to know about marriage. Like, you know, there is like this, you see the wedding, you know, and you see all of these, you know, fancy stories. But the truth is, it's hard. It's hard. And then people don't realize that love isn't enough. Like, yeah, you could love this. Like, I love my husband, but best believe when we get into it, like, you know, and I can be annoying. I know I can be annoying, right? Like, and I was like, oh, because he's pulling his hair out, or not at the same time. So it's hard, because you have these two persons. They're two independent persons, 1 + 1, you know, not halves of each other. And it's something that you have to constantly commit to. So to me, love or marriage, like, that's a decision. You have decided and committed to this. Like, you decide to love, you don't just say, well, I'm just gonna, you know, it's not enough. I mean, and I saw it with my parents, because I don't know if you know, but my parents are not together anymore.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I appreciate that they stuck to it for as long as they did.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while to get there because, of course, like you, I have this vision of my parents in my head, of them just, of us being this family unit that just works. And it did for a very long time. But if both persons have not decided that no matter what, we're gonna work it out.
It's a daily decision.
Daily decision. Then that's what happens. And it's just unfortunate, but at the same time, you realize that just like anything else, any sort of struggle, like you have to just take the lessons from it and apply it to your own life. So now I'm very deliberate about communicating with my husband, right? And if we have an argument, we have to talk about it at some point later. We have to work through it. We have to, make sure that we're sharing. We can't, hold resentment. We can't. So we're very deliberate about doing that. And it's hard. It really is.
For me, I think one, especially when I've known my spouse for so long, and just going through growth individually, realizing that, okay, as an individual, I no longer like these things, or, oh my gosh, I find this so cool. Yes. And then trying to reintroduce yourself over and over and grow together. So true. One of the biggest things I've had to do was pause, like be silent.
Yeah.
I am somebody who can be confrontational, or who, if we're in an argument, we need to talk it out like right now. Tell me where that's on your chest, like what you need to say. And he's not that person. He's more of like, let me breathe.
Yeah.
So I have had to learn how to be like, okay, I'm gonna give you a second. But we're gonna talk about this.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, girl. Yes, I am with you. So with you with that.
All right. So let's move through high school.
Yeah.
And you would have been a part of like one of the first cohorts from Linstead who like went to a town school, right? You had to wake up 4 or 5 o'clock. You gotta be leaving out.
Oh yeah.
Because your school is not no ordinary school. Yeah. You are going to school 2 hours away. Like, what is Charlemont Eye? What was that environment? So going from an environment where, okay, everybody knows your parents, there's so much regulation or so much restriction in terms of how you can move and be and whatnot. What was that like when it was time to actually like go high school with nobody will know or care about your parents because them is not KD nights? What was that like?
Well, of course, there was so much excitement to go, right? And remember that we've set this bar high. They've set this very high bar from before, and now, it's like almost like you're living up to it because now I'm going to Wolmer's, which is one of the traditional prestigious schools in Kingston, Jamaica. Like it was awesome. It was awesome, and I was excited and everything. But at the same time, you were in this bubble before. And now it's like, boop, like no longer in that bubble. So I mean, I went through things that I guess it was normal teenage stuff. So being teased, being tricked, all those things happened, and it happened to persons who because we used to travel on a private bus to Kingston every morning at 5 o'clock would leave, or 4:30 would leave out. So there was a lot of time spent with a certain set of persons on the bus going to school and coming from school. And of course, with that came conflict and, it's arguments and it's petty things that would happen. And I told nobody. I mean, you don't go home and tell your parents that. No, nothing like that. And it's so funny because when I talk to my sister and I talk to my best friend and stuff, they got the same treatment on the bus, but they also didn't say anything to anybody. Yeah, nobody spoke about it. It was so
I talk about it. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you, Shani, because now
Well,
people
that's
know.
probably the reason why I changed buses like
Yeah,
every year.
yeah.
Because
You're
I was
like, nah.
like, there's a hierarchy here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
y'all, mm-mm.
It was just like society. You had like the 2% on, on the bus, and they were exclusive, and you can't get in there, you know. And then you have like the nerds, and they get paid, they're made fun of every day, you know. So it was just like society, and you know that already. So it is kind of. I mean, we didn't really talk about it at all on the bus. I remember Stephanie protecting me a lot
Mm.
on the bus, standing up for me a lot on the bus, and she tried to like push me to stand up for myself, and so that was really that kind of helped. I remember specific moments like very clearly when she would say no, that make that decision, or you know, say it, you know, and I really appreciate that because it helped me to kind of, you know, step into some bigger shoes and not be timid about, you know, just speaking up for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was, so mature in all my encounters. I remember on the first bus, going on the third row or even getting to the back seat was a big thing.
Yeah, yeah.
One day I just casually attempted to go to the third row and like blocked, like, you haven't leveled up to this point yet. You gotta find a way to nestle yourself up front. And I'm like, okay, cool, I can rock with it, because I'm not trying to tip the boat here. But when I got to a different bus,
yeah,
I'm not proud of it, but I set up that same hierarchy where it was like, okay, look, these next 3 rows back here, no bullet shirts. No, like, I'm not proud, but bully people.
Exactly, right?
I was a little bit of a bully, but I feel like those experiences gave me tenacity because it made me like, okay, understand the environment and then find a way for me to say, all right, this is how I'm going to leverage my capabilities or stand out from the crowd. Like, it made it so that, oh crap, you're only in 8th grade, but you can't rock on the 3rd seat, man. Just come chill with us for a little bit. I knew how to finesse those situations.
Yeah, it definitely taught me how to deal with different personalities, because at the end of the day, I ended up on the back seat, and it was because I just knew how to talk to each person because of what they like or don't like, or how they communicate, or how they interpret things, or what they would want to hear, that kind of thing. And funny enough, I mean, it's now that you're bringing it up, but maybe that was a part of my training too, because when I got into sales, when I got into even business, it's a big deal understanding that kind of communication and how to talk to people and how to deal with persons and get what you want. Get them to give you
let them feel like they just want something.
Exactly.
They just want something.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like, to me, that's the ultimate poker face because it requires like not showing delight.
Yeah.
In the fact that I just get what I want.
Yeah.
And I never even had to give much. I just make it feel like I had to give much.
Yeah.
And then we're on to the next thing.
Everybody's good. Yeah, everybody's good. Yeah. I agree.
What kind of, were you like a popular kid in high school, or you just stick to the country folks? Like, how was that assimilation process? Like, you went to Wilmers for 7 years.
Yeah.
What was that like? How would you say the Nadia that went in was different from the Nadia who left?
I definitely was a popular kid from about 3rd form up. I mean, there are others popular for different reasons, but I think what I had, and as they wrote it when I was leaving, was that everybody and Nadia are friends. Like, Nadia is friends with every group. I have nerd friends, I have track team friends, I have cheerleader friends, I have the smart view, everybody and Nadia, are cool. And it was really important to me to do that, I think, because again, it was a part of me understanding how to deal with people. And I genuinely made really good connections. Like today, I probably still have friends from each of those groups, you know. So it was cool. In high school, I didn't really get teased. I don't remember getting teased. I remember once when I just went to Walmart, and I was in first form, and I stood to say my name, and I said, I'm Nadia Willie, and somebody shouted, Willie Whale, and the entire class started to there were a lot, like, people were falling off chairs laughing. I was so like, what? I was like so embarrassed. Like, but that was it. After that, that was the most teasing I've ever gotten at high school, and we ran with it. And I think I started to call myself Willie Whale, and it was just, you know, a thing, and we moved on. And from that, I just started building friendships with people at Wolmer's, and it was a really good time. I really enjoyed my time at Wolmer's. I think it's a very rounded school with a lot of different personalities, and, you know, people who are well-rounded as well. So I think it was a really good fit for me.
For your career path, like, everybody dreads 9th grade because you have to pick your future. At this point, you're expected to know what you want to be for the rest of your life and head on steadfast in that direction. What was that selection process like for you?
It was not good. I dropped all, of course, like everybody else, you drop all the subjects you hate, right? Like geo, hated geo, hated IT, dropped all of those things. And I stuck with sciences because from when I was young, I had it in my head. I wanted to be a pediatrician. So I have to do sciences, I have to do medicine. I'm going to be a pediatrician, which was the worst decision I could have made. So I did biology, chemistry, physics, like all the sciences.
Something. Everybody, I'm smart. Everybody I saw take on those subjects out.
It was stressful.
I'm like, Shanique and stress, we don't go together. So whatever career choices required those, that's not me. I did the mandatory science requirement, which was human and social biology.
Yeah. And girl, I wish I knew that much about myself at that time. I had no awareness of who I was at that time. It was just picking stuff that I thought, you know, because of course everybody's like, you need to be a doctor, lawyer. You know,
going back to that bar, because I'm like, look.
Yep. If I was paying attention, I would have realized a long time ago that I was a creative. I remember going to school, sitting in the library for hours. Yes, missing class sometimes. Them can't nothing about it now. Sometimes. I remember having books way over the time I'm supposed to return them because I'm reading them over because I just love reading these books.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just like I remember sitting. The library's about to close. I'm sitting on the floor, books all around me. I have a book in my hand reading. If I was paying attention, I would have realized that, Nadia, you are not.
Yeah, oftentimes, and this is a conversation that gets tense when I'm having that with my mom, and one that I don't think as a generation, with the two generations, the parents and the kids, we're not ready to have. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, we need them to give us permission to think outside the box.
100%.
And if you decide that I'm taking this permission, I'm giving myself, tell us, what kind of child do I have? And I'm like, no, you can't raise me and tell me that I'm a leader.
Yeah.
Tell me that I have great things in store, but if those great things don't align with what you want, it's not right.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be a lawyer. So everybody, this is a lawyer. She can chat. So once you can chat, you're a lawyer. Okay. Defend the rights of people. And I was always in the house, talking about equality. So if dumpling and banana I am cook, I need 2 dumplings, just like Alex who get 2 dumplings.
Of
It
course.
don't matter that I'm the last child. Why do I need 1 dumpling? No, I need 2.
Yeah, of course.
I used to advocate a lot. If stipend or, allowances were being given away, like, my dad is big on tradition. So if he has $10, Alex, as the oldest child, as the only boy, he needs to get 5. Renee, as the second child and the first girl, she needs to get 3. And as the last person, I get 2. I'm like, everybody can get 3.5 though. Yes. So, but like when I started to read up on, okay, but what does it require to be a lawyer? Like, how much years you have to go to school, and then you got to go to the bar, and then I'm like, oh no.
And there are some people who do that research and they're like, yes, this is it. And I mean, I love that for you guys. But like when I looked it up, I was like, And then worse, because I took it even to first year university. I went to pure and applied sciences. Yes, that's how far I was taking it. Because I was like, this is the only path that I have ever thought about, right? Like, I haven't thought about anything else. Even when I switched, because it was just not working. I was like, you're failing because I just did not want to be there. Right? This is bad. And then my mother was like, okay, we're going to switch you from pure and applied because clearly, and I was saying that I don't want to do it anymore. And she's the one who chose what I'm going to move towards. Yeah, she's like, okay, you're going to do sociology and HR. I'm like, okay.
But even just like that, for me, there was like, it's 2 sides of the fence. So for my friends and peers who had their parents who helped them at 9th grade, I did see that by the time they got to university, their parents were still very much involved and supporting them and ensuring that, okay, is this still, okay, are we making the right decision here?
Yeah.
At 9th grade, when I went home with the paper to pick the subjects, I said, Mommy, what subject should I choose? She said, just pick what you like. I'm like, that's it? You don't want to help me? All of these people, the parents telling them to do business, and you telling me to pick what I like? Like, my mom forced, at that point, she had given up on the lawyer thing. And she was like, just pick what you like.
Yeah.
But then by the time I got to UE, like, ownership of that, my mother, when you graduate.
Yeah. That is all.
That was it. So, I mean, in a way,
like a blessing.
Both sides came with like the pros and the cons because, the support is important, and having somebody who understands, not that my mom didn't support, but she didn't understand that environment. She didn't understand, what it would be like to be like, I really don't know if I'm doing the right thing right now, or I'm failing miserably. How do I give myself permission to switch or to pause even and not feel like I have to just push through? So, I mean, kudos to Inspire for recognizing that and taking charge of that.
Well, 100%, because she realized I had no idea what I was doing. Like, none. Right? So I definitely applaud her for pushing me in a direction that she thought was the best for me. And I did enjoy sociology as a degree, and I now believe that it was the best decision for me in particular. I needed to do something that I liked to do. And of course, that pure and applied was not it, right? So I ended up coming out with a degree, and I enjoyed getting my degree for the most part, because I had to work and study, which was hard.
What kind of jobs typically come with like a sociology degree? Like, I don't know. And I think that a lot of the reasons why people chose like banking and finance or even law or even doctor was because there was a certainty in terms of, okay, when you get it, this is how you use it. What kind of jobs typically came with a sociology degree? And did you have any of those?
I did not. I did no research around that. 100% of my work experience has been because of work experience. But I can tell you that one of the things I know now, because I'm in the field of coaching for interviews and resumes, so I'm now in that space a lot. A sociology degree will get you into jobs that deal with people, because you understand a lot about how people react or how they work, what motivates them, things like that. So when I went into sales, I can see now that it was like a shoo-in, because sales is highly
People place.
people, right.
People
It's
can be very
interpersonal.
peoply.
Exactly. So you have to know how, different types of personalities and stuff. So sociology helped me a lot with the career path that I ended up choosing. And I guess, of course, there are others that deal with like research and, anthropology and things like that, that you will get. But of course, those are less, you find less of those, But my work experience was really because I had to work during school. And it was just always sales, and every time I got promoted or I moved to another job, it was always another sales job. So,
did you feel like kind of like, what do you call that? What's the term I'm looking for?
You're like boxed in?
100%.
Yeah, because I didn't, and my father used to say, but you're good at it, and you're making good money, so stick to it. And I was just like, but it makes me die inside every time I'm doing it. Oh gosh, I probably shouldn't say this because I'm actually sales manager right now. I love my job.
At what point did you make that decision then, right?
Yeah.
That, you know what? I'm just going to bite the bullets and just start something for myself, maybe.
Yeah.
You said you caught the bug later on in
life.
Yeah.
I keep telling people my favorite book is called The Reluctant Entrepreneur. I read that and I was just like, wow, this is me, right? Like, and I saw a quote the other day that said, don't become an entrepreneur for the money, become an entrepreneur for the freedom. And the freedom is pursuing your passion and walking in your purpose and things like that. So I had to take it back. It's double, right? Like, one was my family. It's two persons or two layers to it. My family, they got so annoyed at me correcting every single thing that they said, or, like cross, I think they send me something to edit and I send back pretty much a brand new document, stuff like that. My team would be like, oh my gosh, the entire thing is red, Nadia, like, and they were just like, no, you have to make money from this. You have to make money from this. And they're like, think about it. This is the only thing that you've loved from day one, from your wake up. I started reading so early. Like, everything was always about words. So that pushed me in the right direction. And I don't think I even said this, but like, my husband is the one who kind of got me to jump out and do it, right? Because he's the type of guy that he's never gonna stay boxed in. That's how he is. His personality, he's just always going after the things that, bring him to life, that the spontaneity. And that's part of the reason I married him, because he's like the fun part of the couple. He's the fun part, because he's always just like going out and saying, no, life is too short. You have to go after the things that you love doing, right? And he supported me and pushed me. And then my family was just like, no, do this, and they supported me with the direction. So it's important to have both, right? Because you can get all jumpy about, running after your passions and, going after it. And it's great because you found it. But at the same time, you have to sort of have that direction, because then you're going to end up, either with burnout or not going in the right direction, or not looking at the risks and mitigating them and all those things. So I had a good combination. Somebody who was just like, all right, no, see, I'm doing it. You do it too, jump out. And then I had somebody else who was just like, you know what? This is what I see that you love. What do you think?
You talk about risks. What were some of the things that came up for you when you're like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, this is what I gotta be prepared to face?
Yeah. Wow. So many. I mean, it was hard. I mean, I wouldn't even say, for me, I've not had a lot of business risks that required like capital, right? Like some persons are like, I'm putting all this money into this, I'm gonna lose a lot of money. I'm generally risk averse. So part of me being a reluctant entrepreneur meant that I had to see the money before I do anything else.
You need a plan A.
I need a plan A, B, C.
A contingency plan for that, and then each plan have a sub plan with a subsection.
Exactly. I think through from plan 1 to 10 before I take a step. But the truth is, it takes me a while to take a step. So when I do take it, it's a lot of imposter syndrome. It's a lot of figuring things out and feeling alone in doing it. That's a big part of it because nobody else sees this vision the way you do. And as much as you have support, everybody's patting you on the back, it still feels like you're the only one.
You're down in the trenches by yourself.
Yeah. So as I would say, the risks were a lot internal, you know, and understanding, finally getting to the place where you say, listen, if even this doesn't work out, you are not a failure. Right? Like this is just you learning, so you can apply that to something else and move forward. Like there was a lot of internal stuff going on that caused me to pause, to stop, you know, and to sort of feel afraid to move forward. But as I'm saying, like fear kills a lot more dreams than capacity ever will, you know. So that's what I struggle with a lot. Not necessarily the risks of business per se, but just understanding how capable I am and pushing and doing it scared, you know, doing it scared regardless. Because once you put yourself out there, people are watching you. People are looking to see you know.
How did you handle the requirements or the investment of time that was required? So you talk about capital not being something that you needed because your business is geared around writing, but that requires time.
Yes.
How did you manage that in terms of knowing that, okay, this is I'm going to balance that? Well, did you go straight in? You had a 9 to 5 still.
Yeah.
So how you manage dealing with the clients and ensuring that they get what they need, they're not shortchanged, but you also are giving these clients here but even more because you want to butter them up nice so you feel confident stepping out.
Yep.
How'd you do that?
It takes a whole lot, and it's still something that I'm managing. First of all, the good thing is now I'm at a place where I have help, and it's good that I got to a place where I could recognize that I needed the help. Because a part of the A-type personality is that you want to do everything yourself, right? So I have somebody now, I have a VA, big up People Plus Management Solution, sorry. And she's extremely good at helping me to execute. So I have a lot of things that I want to do, and I pass a lot of the execution to her to get done for me. And because she's been working with me for a while now, she's able to do it how she knows I like it. So that is a big help. But back then, clearly, I didn't have any money to pay for virtual assistant. So everything was me. And investment, it broke me several times. I won't lie. It was like I was at that point where I wanted to give up like more than once, because it takes a lot out of you. Even just putting everything together, putting the foundation together, being able to reach out, do all sorts of things. And you are the one doing the work as well, because you don't have money to pay anybody as yet. So I'm the one writing, I'm the one editing, I'm the one reading. So it literally broke me more than once. But thank God I have brothers who have been entrepreneurs as well. And they guided me a whole lot as well into, to what I should be doing. And sort of understanding as well that self-care is a thing. Like, go slower and take care of yourself so you can go faster later on, that kind of thing. So, and also understanding how to organize and prioritize, which I thought I had down, but it's different with entrepreneurship, right? Like, you have to figure, like, the business changes so often.
Agility. But a part of the desire to have a plan is that you want certainty. You want to know that, okay, if I do A, I will always get B. And that's where the comfort comes in. But as an entrepreneur, I think, like, to your point, that's one of the hardest things for me is like, I have to change again. And then we're going to do this again. Boy, how can you?
Yep, girl.
Not my favorite thing to do.
Yep. At all. Trust me. It's stressful. It's stressful, but the agility is what you have to. And the good thing is after a while it gets better, right? Like you start to accept that things are gonna change. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna be stressed in the next 2 weeks because clearly this is not the way. Like you kind of accept it now. Before it was like, why is this happening again? Like I thought I had it, that kind of thing. So I mean, it gets better, I say, with experience. That's one thing I love about entrepreneurship. The more you do it, the more you learn. Because when I started, I was going to do buying and selling books online, which was thank God. Right? No, I would not have been good for that, right? Thank God for those who do it well. I would not have been good at that. So, and you can imagine, I put a lot of investment into that, putting that together. Even started to say, okay, we're gonna build out this platform and all that. And it just went south. I was getting nothing done, like no money from it. And I was like, okay, no, we have to switch gears. And again, my brothers were just like, all right, what next? And they just helped me to pivot. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that I always have, and I'll tell people, if you're gonna do this, you need a tribe. You need a tribe, you need a support group, because you need that sounding board. Even if they're not in the business or the industry or whatever it is, sometimes just saying stuff. Yeah, man.
That's a bad idea.
Exactly. Yeah. And I have people who will challenge me, because when I say, oh my God, I have an idea, they're going to ask me so many questions to make sure that this idea, like I've thought it through. Right. So at the end of the day, it's something that I can run with.
That process has taught me to think it through before I say I have an idea.
Yes.
Because many times, like, what would affect my confidence the most is that I would want to talk about things like just prematurely. I would want to put it out there, and then when it's shut down, I'm like, what's a good idea though? I'm already married to it. So
yeah.
But it made me say, all right, silence. Have a proof of concept. Like you test out, like you thought it through, have you tried? Anyway, is there anybody else doing that? Are there many people doing that? Why? Why not? Like think about it, and then when I come to you now, so I have this idea.
Yeah.
Okay, tone is different.
Yeah.
There's some work there.
Yes, it makes a lot of difference for sure. I agree with you 100%. It makes me think it through properly, because I know when I go to them, I'm going to have to defend it. I have to defend my idea and I have to justify it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, for sure.
And if you're not confident in it, or they can poke a hole.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna work out.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome was something that you touched on. And that's a word a phrase nowadays that's like out there, but I don't know if many people understand what that means. Yeah. So what does that mean to you, and how have you been countering that with how you've operated your business?
Yeah, sure. So imposter syndrome is So imposter syndrome has to do with you doubting your capacity and your ability to deliver. It has nothing to do with what you can actually deliver, but it's a mental block that you have because you are not confident enough. You feel as if persons are going to see through the fact that you are not an expert, right? And many times we even if we are at a level that's even expert, because even persons who are very what do you call it, professionally trained, or they also suffer with this a lot sometimes, because it is just how you view yourself. And you what you view of yourself is that you are not good enough to be able to do whatever it is you're doing. Right? The sad thing is there's so many persons who know a lot about whatever it is that they're involved in, but because they've never been on a stage to present it, or to, they don't have the confidence to actually deliver it. And it's really just the confidence, not the capacity. So imposter syndrome is like cognitive dissonance, if we want to use a psychological term. Yeah, and I struggled with it a long time. Sometimes
how did you combat it? Like, there are people out there who have inflated visions of their capacity and they're doing some things.
Yeah.
How did you, knowing that it's not that I don't know what I'm doing, I know this very well, I can do this very well. How did you combat that?
Well, I did two things. One, in my mind, I said to myself, not the only way you're gonna know if you can do this is if you do it. So sure, I'm telling myself I can't do it, but are you sure? It's better you try to do it and figure out you can't do it than, and many times, like 99.9% of the time I've done it. Right? I've gone to persons who I thought knew more than I did, and I've thrown out my thoughts. And they're like, yeah, I wouldn't do anything differently. You know, and I'm just like, wow, okay. So I've been sitting, questioning all these things in my mind, and really and truly, I already have the answers. So a lot of times it's you demystifying it for yourself. It's you killing the myth for yourself by actually doing something. And I know that takes a lot of confidence sometimes, but coming to the second thing is that mentorship is a thing. Being mentored and also mentoring somebody forces you to level up, forces you to see yourself how you really are, because it involves a lot of self-assessment and it involves a lot of you stepping out there on that ledge. So I've mentored persons and I've been mentored, and I've realized a lot of things about myself, what my likes are, my dislikes, my strengths, my weaknesses. They are able to point things out. I'm able to see stuff for myself. It sort of puts a mirror in front of you. So then you see the real you and not what you've already put, created the image of yourself in your mind. And then secondly, which is really big, is you have to do it. There's no way you can get rid of that unless you prove yourself wrong about what you think about yourself.
You're a planner. Is there something that a process that you do, a check-in, whether it's to write stuff down or if you ever feel this way, you're like, all right, there's a system in place that helps me just get over this so it don't take 5 months for me to do something.
Yeah, I definitely do. One, I try to write down everything. Make your vision plain is what I say. Anything, my ideas, whatever, I try and write it down. And if I read it later on and it don't make sense, then I know that, all right, sure. But that's one thing, write it down, because a lot of thoughts are in your head and you have to separate what makes sense from what doesn't. So writing it down helps you to that. Just the act of writing it down will help you to do that. And then my second tactic, which works brilliant for me a lot of times, is that I take 5 seconds and do it. Should I do this? Nope, do it. Bam. 5 seconds. Yeah. Don't allow yourself to talk yourself out of it. All right. So 5 seconds. Should I call this person? It's the first cold call I'm making. Nope. Bam. Call him. Phone start ringing. You have to answer no. Just 5 seconds.
That's like,
yeah. Don't matter. Like
anxiety.
Yep. Any worry you had before, it is trust me, if the first call goes badly, the second call won't, because you're gonna remember what you didn't do in the first call and you're going to apply to the second call.
Boy.
Yep.
And now that you're saying all those things, like, I realized that I do a lot of those things, but I didn't have a name for it. Yeah. It was more like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing, and then I started doing it, but then to the process of repeating it, having a system where like, okay, I know this is my go-to. So you kind of trick the brain and you're like, what's the solution here? What's the new habit that I'm trying to form so that this becomes automatic? Like, I wasn't doing any of that. I still don't do much of that.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
That, like, I think one of the best parts of having conversations like these is like what I get out of it is more of like, okay, well, I never did know that before, or wasn't really doing that before. You know what? Let me start doing that, because I'm a little OCD. I write down all my stuff like you do, and all my books have to be the same. So I have like 10 books that look
are the same.
But
like buy
like
something in advance.
that 5 second rule, because I'm slow to action like you are, and I need that sense of certainty and security.
Yeah.
The 5 second rule helps. I see how it helps you to get out of your head and kind of, demystifying it, like you're saying, testing it, pressure testing it to see if it makes sense. I was always afraid of looking stupid in front of other people. So even if this one person is somebody I'll never see again, somehow I get caught up with what their impression of me will be. What would they take away? What would the experience of me be?
Yeah.
Is that something that you battle with?
Yeah.
How do you combat that?
Yeah. It's the same thing. One is, if I write down what I plan to talk about versus just like when I'm doing the 5 second rule, I don't just do it without a plan in my head, right? Like I've been thinking about this for a long time. It's just that I have not decided to do it because of the fear of, like you said, somebody thinking that you're stupid or, this is a stupid idea.
You just don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you don't know what you're doing. Am I going to be nervous? Am I going to be able to tell if I'm nervous? That kind of thing. So I try and make sure I marry both of them. So if I'm having a call, I'm going to say, all right, these are the 3 things I'm going to talk to them about. And then I use a 5 second rule. So preparing is still important because that then helps you to feel like you did what you needed to do to set yourself up for success, right? You're not going to just jump in the water in the deep end and not, have some sort of lifeboat. So that's what I used to combat it. And I know as well that it's sort of difficult because even if you have all the right things to say, they might still take that away, right? So my grandfather used to say, if it's for you, it can be for you. Right, which is not a word, but still, it just means that like if
look
that
at you correcting your grandfather. Wow.
Oh, very wise man. Yeah, but I mean, if it's for you, it can be unfor you, right? So if I call that person and what they took away was that they don't value what I was offering, then let's move on. Next person, moving on, right? So. Yeah, you might feel a little you might be in your feelings a little bit for a bit, but just snap out of it because anything for you will always be for you. It can't be on for you.
The Scrutineer is the name of your business.
Yes, it is.
And it's been in action now for how many years?
3 years.
3 years. No, they say the real test is if your business can go past the first year.
Yeah.
Then that's like more than 90% of all businesses. And if it can make it past the second year, you're in the 95th percentile.
Oh, wow.
What would you say? What is it that you can? 3 things that you can attribute your tenacity or the level of success that you have seen so far. What would you say has really been the push behind all of that?
Okay. I definitely think the first thing is that I'm doing something that I love. I feel like that's a big deal, for you to be successful. You can do things you don't love, but being in purpose always sets you up for more success, right? And I think a lot of people are forced to be a fish climbing a tree instead of being where you're really meant to be, So I think a part of my success has to do with I'm really good at what I do and I love doing it. So it makes me even better at doing what I do because I'm invested. So that's one of the reasons. And I'm going to say something that is probably not popular opinion, but I'm risk averse. Like I am definitely risk averse, which means that sure, I could probably be way further ahead, but I'm gonna last a long time because I'm gonna think through everything and I'm going to make sure that I am stable. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that I'm playing the right hand every time I move forward. I'm not risk averse to the point of being stalled, but I do believe that taking my time to build this business is important. especially for my personality profile and type of business I'm building that is highly dependent on reputation and reliability and accuracy. So if we're talking
your
about
thoughts,
yeah,
like a lot of
exactly,
what you're doing is building strategy for other businesses. Like
exactly,
they
yeah,
have to check, they're
yeah,
basing the future of their businesses, how they move forward on your capacity to think through things for them.
exactly,
If that's
exactly.
not pressure, I don't know what is. Okay? I don't
Yep,
know.
yep. So it helps a lot with strategy. It helps me to think things through and make sure that there is like a foundation, a proper foundation. And I think that has been a big deal as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the last thing, and again, I'm gonna raise it, is my tribe. My tribe has been 100%. If I share something on Instagram right now, it could be word of the day. My entire tribe is sharing it, and I have a very supportive set of entrepreneurs and friends and family who are 100% behind me, and not only to just cheer me on, but to tell me when I think I'm doing something that is not aligned with what my vision or my values or my business is supposed to be about. So my tribe has been behind me since day one, and I think that's a lot of a big part of the reason that I'm still here. Scrutineer is still here. So yeah, those are the three things I'd say are the top ones for me.
Yeah.
For sure. And I'd add one last one, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And it ties into all you've been saying, but I think I'm really good with people, and people are really good with me. And it's a blessing because when somebody is, can talk to you about and be honest with you, and it builds this relationship because they know that I'm also invested in their business. So they trust me with their business, which makes it easier for me to do my job.
Well, this wasn't even a part of the process, but like one of the things that hypocrisy comes up for me a lot. Like even as a child coming up, I was always very blunt, very frank, because I felt like you need to know that I'm not a hypocrite. So if I don't like you, I'm gonna tell you I don't like you. If I like you, you gonna know. But when you're dealing with people, like you're not gonna gel with everybody. And as someone who is friends with everyone or considers themselves a good people person in that way. Like, how do you handle, how do you gauge yourself or filter how you share with each person? Like, are you the same level of honesty with everybody? And how, how have you kind of created your own little system around that?
I think what one of the things God, I don't know, blessed me with is patience. Like, I am a super patient person. That doesn't mean I don't get upset. All right, but at the same time, I usually am very good at stifling a conflicting situation, and I believe a lot of communication has to do with what we say and how we say it. So even when I'm giving bad feedback, it's lined with love. It's lined with, listen, I'm really telling you this because, so it makes the conversation, it makes it very hard to be upset with me. It makes it very hard to really, have this real row. And I don't allow you to do that, because at the end of the day, I'm about results, and I'm about the point of all of this rather than the process of all of this. So sure, you can fight it out and get to the same point, but what I want to do is to make sure that we both understand and are aligned, and that we can achieve the same thing that we set out to achieve in the first place. So my words and how I approach things are always sort of aligned with that, and it helps with the relationship that I build, because they know that my no means no and my yes means yes. That kind of thing. Because
that's important.
It's extremely important. It's why I've been, and that's why I was in sales for so long, because I couldn't be the salesperson that just always said, yes, Nadia, I need this tomorrow. I can't get that to you tomorrow. I can get it to you next Monday for sure, but tomorrow it's not gonna work. I'm sorry. But maybe you could have this instead, and maybe that would hold you over until Monday. Most people are good at that. Just how you say things and deliver it, and that makes a big deal. And it really will calm. I've had so many situations where people are pissed and defensive, and when they come to talk to me, but at the end of it, they're just like, okay, I just wanted you to know how I feel. And I'm like, I understand how you feel. Yeah, we're good.
So we had, I know we're going over the hour, but I'm enjoying myself here. There was one particular company where, like, in the beginning, I talked about how we crossed paths. Just unknowingly. And one particular job, I came in after you had left and inherited some of your clients. And there's one particular client. No, only for them. But one that I feel like was the most transformative for me.
Yeah.
When I went in, off the bat, they didn't even give me a chance. They were like, if it's not Nadia, I'm not interested.
Oh my God.
Where Nadia is, if she's in the same space, let me go do that. They were willing to take my business elsewhere. Everything that I sent to them, I really feel like Nadia would have proofed this. I'm not even really sure if this is what I need. I'm like, damn it, I ain't Nadia. And I can get this. I can travel tomorrow. I'm traveling this weekend. I can buy this in the store for cheaper than what you're selling this to me. One day, you see, I sent a very nicely crafted email saying, if you think that you can get what you need by jumping on a plane, go get it.
Go on feet.
Go and get it.
Good.
However, what I am interested in is an opportunity for you to get to know me.
Yes.
For you to understand how I work, for you to understand how you work, and for us to find a way to work together.
Yeah.
Part of that requires trusting that I know what I'm doing. Quite frankly, I didn't. But I mean, they didn't even need to know that.
They didn't know that.
They didn't need to know that. And I had a team who was informing me anyway. And that ultimately, I'm thinking about not just the business now, but I'm thinking about the future and what you would need to be set up in that direction. Nice.
I love that.
And by the time I read it out for the office, and I'm saying, no, Shan, that sounds too harsh. It's sent. It's sent already. And I got back a one-worded email. Okay.
Oh, there you go. I love that. Yes.
Fast forward to when I was leaving, that same client brought me smoothies every day for a week. They say, you and my wife born in the same month. Actually, I didn't know a long time that this is how you were. Like, we could have been, Shanique, where are you going? And I'm like, just promise me something that whosoever takes over from me, like,
give them hell.
give them such a hard time. But to credit what you're doing, like, it goes to show that you leave such a good impression with people that it's like they get so connected. You have built a community of people who will follow you wherever you go, which is a really in this world or in this space, even outside of entrepreneurship, having a community, that black book that you can be like, you know what? Somebody owe me a favor, or somebody owe somebody, or I know I can connect you with somebody, and they trust that, okay, if Nadia say I must talk to you, I need to talk. That's a really, 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 really good thing. So you have built up that reservoir of people who will defend your honor, right? Good. Not every client made it through that. One of them, I was like, okay, let's reassign this one because that's not me.
But
for the most part,
a lot of those relationships too, what people don't understand a lot of times, business sometimes has nothing to do with business, right? Like, and especially in Jamaica, of course, right? Like a lot of those people, I remember once I went and I was talking to the head of ICT department, and in the middle of our meeting, he forgot that he needed to go pick up his son, and he didn't have his car, because I don't remember what happened to his car. And I was just like, okay, I'll go pick him up. And he's just like, what? And I'm like, I'm just, it's down the road. I'll go pick him up, bring him back, and we just finished the meeting. And that's what I did. And kid you not, we didn't even have to finish the meeting. He's like, listen, that's on your desk on Monday morning, right?
Wow.
Like, sometimes it's just those little things.
It's the human side. If you're focused on just the business of being in business, then you get lost in the sauce. Like if you're focused on, okay, how can we engage outside of this? What are the things that connect us as humans?
Exactly.
And all of that requires time, that investment in getting to learn somebody. But it's like you said, you're on the slow and steady. You're a turtle empire. You're building over there. You're trying to make sure that things are positioned nicely, and it's all right. The vase will look good if I turn it this way. Maybe I should paint it yellow. All right. Now that I'm comfortable with this, let me move on.
Slow and steady.
That's good. Okay, what's next for Scrutineer? What does the future look like?
The empire is looking good, Shanique. I'm telling you the truth. Like, I have so many ideas. I know one of the things that we're going to launch soon is a space for writers. And we have different pockets, so there's LinkedIn or Medium and whatever, but I want to start building sort of an association. And what that means is that I need writers to come together and put all the information in one portfolio. And then this is not for me. This is a space for persons to just have the freedom to put, poetry or story. And it's like all writers, anything you want to put on there, you just put on there, I was looking for a space like that, and I couldn't really find a nice creative space like that. So I said, well, let's just create it. So that's what I'm going to do. And it also sort of gives a portfolio for writers. So when somebody says, hey, I want to see a sample of your work, you just point them to, the space that you keep all of this creativity. So that's one thing that we're going to do. And then we're going to talk about courses. We're going to be doing writing and editing courses as well.
Nice.
So those two are on the horizon, and I'm really excited about both of them, because it means that it's more than just the Scrutineer, it's this industry, because there's so many creatives, right? And we just need to band together and just do more, and start to make the industry more mature, because especially now, especially in the pandemic, you realize how relevant content is, how relevant communication is. So if we can be a part of that, we're sold. We're 100% sold.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like most of this conversation was like jumping down memory lane for both of us, as opposed to just me, but veering into the lives of other people. But I enjoyed it. Yes. It was really good to kind of see things through your lens, and then just see how, oh my gosh, like so much I relate to that. I can relate to that. Sometimes I feel like we're operating in a vacuum, and like we're the only ones that's doing this. But it's good to hear those things out loud. Sometimes maybe you just need to hear it said another way. Yeah. You're like, you know what? I've never really had the words to say it that way. Yeah. And I feel like you have done that today on this conversation.
Well, I hope something's connected. I mean, I'm always willing to come talk. I say, come make a talk. I love this conversation, and let's keep the conversations going, because it's the experiences each of us have, and once we keep sharing, it helps us to grow so much. As I've learned just being in this conversation with you as well. So that's awesome,
Nice. Where can people find you?
Okay, so we are on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, and we are also at www.thescrutineerja.com. And you'll find all our information on our website. If you want, just follow our pages, follow us on Instagram, and follow us on LinkedIn, and you'll see, all we have to offer.
And you post like a daily word of the day.
Yes.
And if you want to become a walking dictionary yourself, that's subscribing or following them on IG will definitely help you to get there. The application part, like, you have to work on that yourself, but they'll give you the tools.
Yes, I will be giving tips. We're gonna do a writing tip and an editing tip as well. So you look out for those as well.
All right. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.